Welcome back to Coach's Corner. This week we're doing things a little bit differently. I'm coming at you with the top 10 errors that many endurance athletes make. Now I'm going to be giving them to you 2 at a time over the course of the next 5 weeks, so make sure you stay with us so that you can make sure to avoid these common mistakes that might end up getting you injured or maybe just not allowing you to reach your full success in the sport. All right, you ready? Giving you the first 2 right now. Okay, number 10, jumping into the high intensity workouts too soon. Oftentimes we have athletes who are training for a 5K, half marathon, full marathon, even sprint triathlons, and they think that to get faster, they have to run fast. And it's absolutely critical that you spend time in that base phase of training, building up that aerobic base or your aerobic endurance before you tack on that speed. So now for different programs, this may be varying lengths of time, but I would say spend at least 4 to 8 weeks in that base training phase to make sure that we're building ourselves up appropriately and progressing ourselves appropriately, to make sure that our tendons, our joints, and our muscles are all accustomed to that volume of training before we start to add intensity to our workouts and progress from there. So don't jump right into that high intensity workouts. Otherwise, you may be hurting for certain and maybe on that injury train sooner rather than later. So make sure you avoid that. All right, number 9. So number 9 goes really well with our number 10, which was making sure that we're not jumping right into high intensity training. Number 9 has to do with building up your volume appropriately. And too often endurance athletes ramp up their mileage really quickly. They think more is better and is going to achieve better results. So they take that couch to 5K training program and they ramp it up way too quickly, or they start on too advanced of a program for them. So it's important to know yourself, your training history, and what type of volume in the run, the bike, or the swim your body can handle, and making sure that you're slowly progressing that volume upward, and know that there's no one right volume number that's going to be successful across the board. Everybody is different. There are runners who highly cross-train their training program for their run mileage, and there's also triathletes that have definitely varying degrees of volume across the 3 disciplines. So it's silly to compare yourself to others. Focus on what has worked well in the past and then slowly improving that volume over time as your body is prepared for it. Again, also pairing well with that intensity and making sure that there is a trade-off between increasing the intensity and also reducing that volume. So in general, when I'm looking at runners that are highly trained in the course of one training block, I may improve their volume of running by about 3 to 4 miles, maybe even 5 miles at a time per week, but giving them a gradual progression, spending a couple weeks at each level of mileage before moving that upward by that 3 to 5 miles. Okay, when I'm looking at the bike, I'm only increasing their bike volume by about 45 minutes to an hour, so roughly 1 ride a week, or about 15 minutes per ride, depending on how I'm spacing that out over the week. And then in the swim, depending on their ability, this is anywhere from about 500 to 1,000 yards a week that I'm tacking on. Again, keeping their volume consistent so that they're able to develop that consistency and that effort level for about 2 to 3 weeks before I'm progressing them upward to that next volume threshold, but keeping in mind that I'm constantly assessing the recovery of the athlete, the performance of the athlete, the success in completing individual workouts, whether they're aerobic based workouts or anaerobic workouts, and their ability to finish those successfully. A lot of those factors are going to help me dictate whether to regress in their volume for that next week or progress them. So no, again, it's individualized. You need to focus on yourself and how progressing is going to work best for you, but making sure you're doing it slowly. Nobody just runs a marathon in a day like that, straight off the couch. So we want to make sure, start slow, start with 3-4 days of training a week and gradually build that up to 5 or 6, still including that recovery day and spacing that volume out over those days. Okay, so make sure slow on the volume increase, and you will make sure to stay injury-free as you continue to listen to your body. So there you guys have it. There are the first two most common errors that endurance athletes make. Remember, we're not going in any particular order, so stay tuned for next week for two more common errors that you may be making that may be holding you back from having a big PR this season or next season. I look forward to seeing you guys next week at Coach's Corner.